Our Love, Diary of a Prince, written by Cameron Holder. Chapter 8, November 14th, 1750. Hello again, my lovely friend I call a diary. My last entry went into a direction that was unintentional, however, much needed for the both of us. I feel as though I need to become more honest with you because you are always honest with me. I know I was complaining about the world and not accepting my love affair as something that can be respected, and I told you how lonely I feel in this city. Bothered am I not, though, for I have found joy in myself again. I have renewed my spirit and feel more like a mature Stefan. I have been reading my favorite Shakespeare play yet again, and found something that provoked me in a tone that can only be felt while in a commitment with another person. L'amore pesenta e leggero, luminoso escuro, cado freddo, malato e sano, addormentaro e sevo, e tutto tranquillo che. Plainly, it means love is heavy and light, bright and dark, hot and cold, sick and healthy, asleep and awake. It's everything except what it is. You can only experience this short sentence if you are living in the truth of a commitment. What I have with my Lord is heavy and protected. It is light and full of life. It is up and down. It is good and bad. My love with Augustus feels so real and tangible. Our love feels valid. Our love feels fluid. Why do others have views that define our love as detestable and vile with wicked purpose? Love is not limited. Shakespeare taught man that love is boundless and too expansive to be held down in chains or regulated by the church or government. I remember child memories of my parents being intimate with each other. That was real for the couple as well as the viewer. My love is not total in bad influence. As my diary and friend, you must think that my statements are logical for even the most stubborn of priests or the most innocent of children. I do not have much else to say. I just felt that I should share my thoughts with someone I trust. I should not keep my theories in my head. Either I will lose them or battle with myself until I cry my last teardrop. Thank you for staying by my side this entire time. I cannot imagine where I would be without you. You help me when no one else can, even Augustus. Speaking of him, I will be returning home in 4 weeks so I can create more exciting adventures with the love of my world. I will try to spend more time with my family also, so I cannot promise that I will be talking with you too often, so I apologize in advance. I am grateful for your compassion and understanding. We will talk again, I promise. Stefan. November 30th, 1750. Priscilla paid me a visit today in tears, and I was appalled as to what happened. Prince William, Duke of Cumberland, is coming to Venice to visit her when we return home. She sent multiple letters to her father expressing her voice to the situation, but her father is stubborn and will not reject the son of King George II of Great Britain. He has commanded that she remain a lady with the composure of a swan and spend time with the prince so that they can arrange a bond together. Whispered talk of marriage is traveling around Venice quickly, and Priscilla is not enjoying any of the gossip. I tried to reassure Priscilla that it is only a visit and not the end of her dreams as a ballerina. She thinks the opposite. If I were her, I would not be worried in the slightest. Of course, she did not listen to me. She could only focus on the terror of her life being controlled by a group of men that believe they are giving her the best life a girl can dream of. She said that Prince William will stay at her home for the whole month of December to discuss important matters with her parents. I was ecstatic to meet a royal, while Priscilla wanted nothing to do with the affair. She is upset that she has no choice when it comes to selecting a husband that she loves from the heart. She has developed feelings for the mystery boy she told me about earlier. The boy has made advances with her, and they have met regularly for quite some time now. If her father knew, he would not be happy at all and condemn the entire situation. It is frustrating, but there is nothing I can do for her. There will be a wedding in 3 years, and my friend cannot reject the prince. She stayed by my side for the entire day, and I was able to ask about Augustus. She said that he is doing well, still studying the stars and planets with some astronomers while I am not around. He thinks of me every day and counts the days until we meet again. Priscilla surprised me and said that she is jealous of my love affair. I do not have to think about marriage, and the whole city is not giving their opinion in our love. No one is making huge arrangements for a wedding, and Augustus and I can focus on each other. We have our choice in privacy. I quickly interrupted and told her that I was jealous of her life. She has wealthy parents that can take care of her. She can snap her fingers and get anything she desires. She has a prince that wants to marry her. She will have a traditional wedding. She is able to birth offspring. She is not looked as disgusting or a disgrace to the church. The government is not going to execute her. There are benefits to her position. I suppose that she is blinded because that is her way of life. I think for the first time in our friendship, we had an opposing view. Diary, I think I had my first quarrel with Priscilla. It did not feel amazing, but I had to give her my honest review, and she did the same. We still respect one another, but that discussion brings out another shadow of ourselves that clash in harmful ways. After the dispute, I still ponder. Why is she envious of me? Why does my circumstance look more beneficial in her eyes? That I will never understand. I asked her what will happen if she refuses to marry the prince. She said that her family is forced to disown her and leave her out in the countryside to become a worker in the fields and fend for herself. That is a harsh reality for young girls. My heart aches for those who have had to go on to that journey alone and with no remorse from family. Priscilla does not have to work as a farm girl. She can always go back to Rome or travel to France and become a prima ballerina on her own. It will require quite a bit of financial assistance, but I am sure that Augustus and I can help her. My parents would gladly contribute any funding that they can give, and from then on, it is nothing more than relying on her talent and beauty. Whatever decision she makes, I am right there to love and support her. Beyond this little problem, I am tortured to have to wait 12 more days until I can see the handsome man of my fantasy. We will spend as much time together as time will allow, and I will cherish each second that passes me by. Each sunrise and sunset will mark new memories for the two of us, and each day will bring springing happiness. I wish that Augustus could ask for my hand in marriage, but I know that can never happen. If I could be dressed in white, doves fly above the sky, music is flooding the canals, roses bloom all around, and my Lord waits for me to cross that path into matrimony. Only in my dreams will this be. Only in my dreams will this be. Stefan. December 14th, 1750. Hello, my darling diary. I returned home 2 days ago and was greeted by my family with warmth and satisfaction. My mother asked me how life was in the Eternal City. She thinks that I look like a washed-up log on the shore. This meaning that I need to eat more food from home and get my healthy appearance resurfacing. My father said that I look handsome and hopes that I am keeping steady with my studies. The educational conversation didn't last long as expected. He pursued me with asking questions about the women in the South. Have I found a true love? What do the maidens offer me? Am I active in my search for a womanly soul? I averted the discussion and responded kindly with words of affirmation. I was actively on my quest for the true woman. However, I do not want my fairy games to spoil my intelligence and defer me from my passion of fine art. I found out that my brother is planning to marry Orphea, the girl he met at the ball back in the summer. They want to get married around April, so my family is steadily making plans for the celebration. I congratulated him on his engagement and wished him the best. My mother started crying like always and praised God for bringing her son a wife. Eventually, she will have her prayer and be given a grandchild. My father is happy that he will continue the bloodline and hopes that the marriage will be everlasting. Still in my mind, who would want to be with a woman named Orphea? What is in a name such as her? I asked my father about my uncle in Ravine, and in an instant there was a ghostly silence. I asked repeatedly until my brother finally spoke. My uncle died the week before, and no one told me. I asked the apparent questions. My brother said that my uncle was very sick in July and August, but by September he was recovering from whatever disease that was destroying his spirit. In October, my uncle became ill once again and traveled in misery to a healing practitioner that was located in Zagreb. He was given remedies of every kind, and they seemed to be effective, but only temporarily. My uncle traveled back home and left this forsaken planet. My mother started to cry, and my father took her to their chambers. I wish that someone would have told me in that moment, but everyone believed that it would be better to tell me in person. I do not feel intensely saddened, only because I did not know my uncle too well. I got the chance to visit him in the summers as a young boy, but by age 13, my family stopped traveling to Croatia. I never knew why in particular, but that is what occurred. When I settled into my comfortable room, I had the urges to see my love. I asked my parents if I can see Priscilla and Augustus. To my surprise, my mother said that Wilfred and Julia invited all of us for dinner that night. She said that we will be in the presence of a prince, so we have to dress accordingly, and that meant I had to dress myself like a gentleman. I hate not having the opportunity to go outside of the regular and dress myself as an astonishing individual. She had my coat and pants and shirt laid on the bed. She made me wear shoes for my father, and I felt so stuffy and arrogant. Any jewelry that I wanted to flaunt had to be by her choice, and absolutely no feminine spirit was allowed. Now that I think about this event, I wish I stayed in Rome instead. My father and brother looked handsome and simplistic, but for my mother, she put on many pounds of makeup on her face. Her corset looked to be crushing her spine and rib cage. Her feet were forced into shoes that were made for a slimmer woman, and her wig dripped in powder and flowers. I did not think that was my real mother because she was never a lady to dress so highly and refined. Since this was an event with a royal, she wanted to look her best, look like she belonged with the elite. We arrived at the massive home of Wilfred and Julia. I almost forgot how immense it was. The servants all dressed in black and bowed to introduce us. The first person we encountered was Wilfred. He was dressed in his gallant gold and red robe and heightened shoes to look more favored by God. The wig he wore was a bit distressed and did not flatter his head, but that is only my awareness alone. Wilfred greeted us with a smile and offered red wine to us. He looked extremely happy to see me in particular, and I could not put my finger on it. Throughout the evening, I wondered why Wilfred was being so kind to me. I will tell you in a moment, Diary. The next guest was my Augustus. He wore a similar dress order of my brother, but he looked more handsome and succulent, of course. He offered kisses to my mother and gripping handshakes to my father and brother. He looked at me for a prolonged time, and we locked eyes that was observed as strange to everyone else. I had not viewed his body in 2 months, so I deserved this split second of admiration. Those muscles peeked through his shirt. That curly hair flowed down to those broad shoulders. Those green eyes get me trapped in a spell every time. He hugged me, and I accepted the kind gesture, but everyone in the room made the atmosphere tense and cold, so I had to push him off earlier than anticipated. I hate that I have to put on a mask, but it is what I need to do to protect our love. Wilfred and Augustus showed us to the dining quarters, and it was beautifully decorated for royalty with a grand chandelier. The piano was hand-painted with a forest essence and had a gold trimming. Even the keys were painted gold. If you were there to see it, the chairs were soft with white and gold silk, and the table essentials captured your attention with gold forks and spoons, gold plating, everything was gold. I wonder where all this gold came from and how many liras it cost to gain such heavenly tableware. I could view the sea outside of the huge patio windows, and the moon was in full bloom. What a time to be alive on this stunning little planet. We were served little foods to start supper by the servants, but I asked Wilfred where was the prince and the rest of his family. I was told that everyone was still upstairs preparing to make an entrance. Wilfred sat at the head of the table. My father sat at his left side, then my mother sat next to him. My brother sat next to my mother, and I sat next to him. Augustus sat across from my view. We finished eating our first starting dish when some servants blew a horn and announced the arrival of Prince William, Duke of Cumberland. We all had to stand up and bow at his majesty. I felt silly and did not understand why I had to bow at this mortal man. I only bow for my lord, but I had to do what was courteous for the respect of everyone. Prince William was a tall man, much like Augustus, but he was heavy in the waist and facial structure. This prince wore a red and gold jacket with a navy blue sash, black boots, and white undercoatings with gold trimmed around the silhouette. I do not see Priscilla being married to a man like him, but it seems he does have means to taking care of her. She might even become a duchess. Princess Priscilla, Duchess of Cumberland. How fancy and grand the wedding will be. I mustn't think of a wedding, though, if my friend wishes to lead her own heart. Prince William greeted Wilfred with delight and sat next to him on his right. The horns began to blow again as Julia and Priscilla were announced. Julia looked absolutely wealthy in her midnight blue gown, with a skirt that almost looked like a table underneath her. It was decorated with lots of ruffles and floral sewing patterns, but the real star shining brighter was my friend. I had never gazed upon Priscilla as I did that night. Her gown was a pure fabric of pink, with beading that glimmered in the light, almost as if she were wearing diamonds on her body. She had pearls in her heightened powder wig, pearls on her neck, a feathered fan with satin gloves, and pearl-dropped earrings. Her skirt took up half of the staircase. The room was completely silent. Her makeup made her look angelic and pure, unlike my mother, who I thought was a bit jealous. The prince's eyes were becoming sore red because he forgot how to blink. Everyone was standing up and bowing again to the ladies of the night, and Priscilla curtsied to the prince. Prince William kissed her glove, and her parents were impressed. They knew she could not resist his charm, or so they thought. Julia sat at the other head of the table, while Priscilla sat in the middle of Augustus to her right and Prince William to her left. The second course arrived, and the food was delectable. I know that I will adore my mother's cooking for the rest of my days, but I do say, Wilfred and Julia hired the most talented cooks from Italy. I ate pizza margherita, spaghetti alla carbonara, ossobuco alla milanese, saltimbocca, tiramisu, and soffritella. I cannot imagine how Augustus was able to tame his yearning to obliterate the entire kitchen, but the prince was eating like this is his final day on earth. The conversation was a cheerful one where my parents discussed how proud they were of Priscilla and I for taking our God-given passions and using them in the best way possible. Wilfred and Julia were proud of Priscilla, however, they had their mind focused on getting their daughter to fall in love. Prince William complimented Priscilla on her looks. He gave her a gift, which was a new fan and parasol handcrafted by a worker in England. He told her stories about the royal family and the many battles he fought in. Though most were unsuccessful, Priscilla contained her lady composure and laughed when need be, but I could tell she was not fully engaged with him. After the dinner, we all went outside to watch the moon and have wine while everyone separated into their own world of conversation. I had Augustus all to myself while my family was listening to Julia about her travels to England and France, jewelry and art she collects, the royal parties she attended, so on and so forth. Augustus wanted me to stay for the night, or maybe two, but I had to decline. It had no connection to him, but I thought it was best for me to spend more time with my family and let Priscilla conclude her game with the prince. As I was talking with my lord, Wilfred charged at me and had to speak with me immediately. I asked him what the state of the matter was, and he replied with a sense of urgency I had never heard from him before. Priscilla was not too happy with the prince, and the talk of marriage was something she was not too interested in for now. Wilfred asked if I could maybe encourage Priscilla to give the prince a chance, tell her to travel to England with him and meet King George II. Ultimately, he wanted me to tell Priscilla that she has no choice but to marry Prince William for the sake of the family. I was her only true friend, so he thought I was the key to unlock her. I told him that I could not possibly force her into a marriage that will cause damage. The next moment made my soul shiver like a tundra. I had to make the connection between them official and safely knotted, or he would cause damage in my life. He knows things that can turn me into a monster in the city. Augustus heard this as well, and we are now both frightened. How can he know about our love? Who will tell him of our encounters in the shadows of the night? I have no choice. If I do not do as he says, then my life will be at the mercy of the church. I will try to get some peaceful rest now, diary, and talk to you when I have to disclose my most secluded thoughts with you. Good night. Stefan. December 24th, 1750. I am watching the sunset on this beautiful evening. Diary, I am in shambles and have no one to turn to. Not even my Lord can save me from this despair in my heart. I still have no theory as to who told Wilfred about my encounters with his son, and Augustus suggests that we not see each other for a long time. Was it my mother who might have been searching for guidance as to how she should help me find a woman for a partner? Was it my father who could have seen something that he was not supposed to? Could Augustus have made a terrible mistake and spill his true soul to the family? Is the world going to collapse on me, shame me for being different? No matter what the truth is, I have to convince Priscilla to marry Prince William or my life is over. I know you are created to be a listener and have no judgment at all in my personal matters, but now more than ever I need good judgment from you. Tell me what to do and how to do it. I am desperate for a good friend to send me peaceful comfort in this rageful storm. Oh, how I wish I could reverse time and see what my mistake was. Wilfred promised me that if Priscilla is confident in the marriage of the prince, he will never speak of my sins to another soul. However, I only have another 7 days to encourage her, or he will have me at the mercy of the church. My life is in utter danger, and I'm frightened. I feel so lonely. I do not have any alternatives, and time is slipping out of my hands like sand. Each day I can feel the fire capsulating my body deeper with its stinging heat. I can hear screams of regret, guilt running through my veins, my breathing becoming heavy and distressed. Bring me a prince to save me from this wretched entanglement, and let him whisk me away to another land where love is boundless despite what the world may ponder. I just wish that Augustus is safe in his home where he is in close proximity to the devil. I have to make a trip to see Priscilla. Keep a prayer for me, diary. Talk to you soon. Stefan.